bear's eyes are still glowing red. It's guarding over the freezing corpse hidden inside its belly. Your arm reaches out and your eyes close, as if by their own volition. It's dark all around. You feel cold, dead flesh through the latex glove. It's right under the palm of your hand. His face, his cheeks, his nose, his fat, swollen lips. Like a rubber spider, your gloved hand crawls on his features. Everything is silent, all around. The oral cavity is cold and moist. A ball-like tongue attaches itself to the base of the mouth, lolling around like a scallop. You're on the right track. The tongue moves freely in the cavity. The mucus of the mouth is slippery, fragile, even through the latex. From the soft meat, teeth are budding. Hard pearls of bone in the gums and in the back of the mouth. Can you feel it? You're so close. Rip his jaws open now. Look in. A vision of black and dark red death, pried open by your hands and studded with teeth. Looks like he's laughing. Death fumes rising from his throat. And there, in the back of his mouth, above the bell of the uvula, right in the soft palate, you see a hole, barely visible to the human eye. It is swollen shut, almost vanished. No larger than 0.4 centimeters in radius, the edges appear darkened. An abrasion collar. This is what we're after.
Abrasion collar.
A black trickle of liquid runs into his throat from the wound. Your index fits right in there. A tight tunnel of flesh opens up. Tissue damage. Wide enough for 2 fingers. As you push both in, you reach through his mouth, right into his brainstem. Yes, that's what this part is called. You've seen the drawings. You've studied them. The basal ganglia feels clumpy. The bullet has torn apart his reptilian complex. This man will never sleep again, never wake. Your yellow fingers slide into the remains of the limbic system. There is no resistance. It's gelatinous. The slug-like structures are damaged too. The tearing extends deep into both hemispheres. The lieutenant answers with the sound of his pen on paper. Your fingers are all the way in now, reaching toward the inside of his skull. The cavity goes further, but the entry wound isn't wide enough for the rest of your hand to follow. All the muscles in your body harden. Time to enter him. in with a crack, like some fruit. Just like that, your hand is in his head. Fluid streams down your wrist, and then you finally feel it with the tip of your finger. Sharp, serrated material. The edges cut right into your skin. This must be the bullet. You push your hand further in. The bullet keeps rolling between your fingers as you beckon it to come out. Out comes his small folding knife. The lieutenant moves its blade across the man's skull, searching for the exit wound.
Withdraw your hand 4 centimeters, please.
With a crack, he punches the knife in the skull. Then, one more time, and one more, until the bone comes loose, like eggshell. Inside, you feel the jello move from his poking. The bullet is still under your finger.
Can you push it out?
A fractured piece of lead, like a flower, blossoms from the man's head, followed by your finger.
A bullet. Unknown caliber. Rifled. You may remove your hand from the victim's head now, officer. Well done. Here is your prize. We need to add an item to the injury list. Injury number 4. Oval entry wound with an abrasion collar. Soft palate, back of mouth. High velocity. Temporary cavity in brain tissue. Small exit wound on the occiput. How does that sound? Opinion, fatal injury. And one last thing. We should amend injury number 3, ligament mark. Treatment. It's obvious the Hardy Boys tampered with it. I had my doubts. There were no signs of a struggle on his hands, no claw marks on his neck. But still...
His brow furrows, while his eyes glaze over. The lieutenant looks regretful for not figuring this out before.
Yes, we should take a closer look at it. I am certain it has more to tell us.
This little thing could reveal much about the weapon that shot it.
Oh, you really do. I am glad to hear you say that. Your room in the Whirling in Rags should come with a bathroom. Be sure to make use of it in the evening. We bag the corpse and carry him to the holding pen of my kinema. I can transport him to processing myself, but I will be gone for the rest of the day. Work on the case. Tend to personal matters. Try not to do anything too dangerous. An officer needs backup in a neighborhood like this. I'll leave that choice to you. And one more thing. Great work, detective.
After you bag the corpse, Lieutenant Kitsuragi will leave the party until tomorrow morning. You can do side tasks, and even the main case, but it might be more difficult. Plan his exit accordingly.
All right. I will need a little help carrying him. You take the hands, I'll take the legs.
Jamais vu. Derealization. Jamais vu. The opposite of déjà vu. Not already seen, but never seen. Everything that should be familiar appears strange and new, like some half-forgotten day in your childhood. Only now. This is not the cleanest bathtub in the world, but it's cleaner than you are. Ah, that soap scum smell. It smells like life, at least compared to you. The bathtub slowly fills with water. The water beckons. The water is only lukewarm, but still comforting, like amniotic fluid. A few beer cans are bobbing up and down along your flanks, like sad duckies. You feel nice and lonely, and so tired. Now you are alone with your thoughts in the tub, but it's easier than being alone with your thoughts outside the tub. They're not even really thoughts, just assorted sensations, none of them acute enough to focus on. You see the corpse. You can still smell the cadaver on you. It's going to take more than one bath to get rid of that stench. Then, houses along a narrow street, a video rental, darkness on the planet's curvature. Your fingers grow pale and are covered with tiny whirls as the water cools. What are you doing? You're not some fat fish in a fucking aquarium. Time to get moving. The waterline recedes as you stand. You are cold now. Your clothes stick to your still moist skin.
I was just thinking, what a nice evening it is for taking part in a murder investigation.
Ah, yes. The night before I saw you in the hallway and reminded you you're a police officer. Wow. Mythopoetically adequate stuff.
She's a glib girl, but she liked the wording.
There was the usual ruckus. Loud disco music. I can't say. Probably not. Sounded like you were flying solo. Oh, yes. Various artists. Ostentatious orchestrations prime among them. Oh, we're huge where I come from. I was very young then, of course, like 7. Life gets hard, but we go on. It would appear so. At around 2 o'clock, the disco stopped and there was a change of pace.
Die Müllers sind...
A slow, sad song started playing, like organ music on repeat. That went on for quite a while. Some of that time you were yelling along to it. Yes, there was a church in there. A really small church. Like the smallest, saddest church in the whole world. It was about that. And also that it doesn't matter anymore and that we're alone now. It was difficult to tell. The song itself was very quiet and soft, but you sounded like a wounded boar, sir. It was hard to understand what you were singing on top of it. Then you started screaming and trashed the place.
No, it didn't sound like there was a fight. It sounded like someone was trashing their room. A window was smashed, the tape player probably, the song stopped. And furniture too. A real destructathon. There was screaming. Then I think you passed out. There was. I think you screamed that you didn't want to be this type of animal anymore. I may have misheard, but it was sort of memorable. I went out afterwards. Everything was quiet by then, around 4 or 5. And that was it. No problem, sir.
Two neon-lit shapes. A mirror hangs on the bathroom wall. In it, your clean-shaven face, adorned with the expression. You're still not accustomed to it. A mirror hangs on the bathroom wall. In it, your clean-shaven face, adorned with... The chain cutters slip out of your hands as you attempt to twist the faucet into place. Well, you know one thing for sure. You've probably never been a plumber. A mirror hangs on the bathroom wall. In it, like the rest of you, it comes from a bad place somewhere in the past. That's all you know for now. Still not happening. It won't come off that easy.
Our tenant, the policeman. Damn that girl.
And without anger, a long and harsh life has taught her not to buckle under pressure.
Gone and hid things in there? She's usually a good tenant, and not a stupid one either. Yes, I let my room to that Ruby girl. As I've done before when she's been in trouble or just looking for solitude. I've made it clear, we welcome all kinds of people here. She came last Friday, left on Monday in a hurry. What has she gotten herself into?
She seems genuinely worried about her previous tenant. She's seen her hiding out from trouble before, but this seems different.
She's good company. Knows how to talk to an old woman. At my age, you don't get a lot of quality conversation, so I really appreciate that about her. No, she was mostly silent this time, kept to herself. She tried not to let it show, but I could tell she hadn't come to fish. Usually she likes to cast a few lines, but this time she mostly stayed in her room. I cleaned it, like I always do. No.
The truth, sire.
How would I know? She's a gruff one, but not violent. She doesn't go around toting a gun.
You could ask her about your hunch, that it was a desperate measure. See if she thinks Ruby fits the bill.
Aye. Do tell. Exit from what? No, she's a fighter.
Not a quitter. Like you sometimes get, son. She really believes that.
Not that I know of, though she was into nice music. She once showed me a few mixtape milieux she'd made. Although I guess she was pretty handy with the mechanical and technical stuff. Even fixed the heater in the shack. You should be thankful for that. Yes, early with the dogs, around 8 o'clock, I think. I don't know. Further up the coast. She tried to leave quietly, but the hinges on that door screeched like a cat in heat. Woke me up. I heard her rushing in those heavy boots, heading up north.
It's a peninsula. She might be trapped.
You'll never find her, you know. She knows the coast like the back of her hand. You only just arrived. Yes, it's going to be too much work for you to find her. Better for you to stay here, get a nice cozy fire going in the heater.
No, you can do it. You still have plenty of juice in you before you drop. Behind the cinder block houses, old pre-war ruins rise to the sky like dark palaces. The wind calls.
What more do you want to know about that poor girl? Yes, let's see. One thing, officer. If you do find her, please go easy on her.
She really means it. It's an honest plea.
She's a good girl. Whatever she's gotten herself mixed up in.
Hi, the sea's gonna calm down soon. I can feel it. The wind is turning southeast. What's on your mind, officer? Oh, that's good to know, I guess. Why is it in the sea? This calls for a funeral, if you ask me. Aye. Feels deserved, don't you think? Falling in the line of duty like that and all. Why odd? Our things are a part of our life world. They're made with our human sweat and they share human history. We should care about them as we care about humans. To some extent, at least.
Life world? Someone's been reading up on last century Gottwaldian philosophers. Play it cool now.
Oh yeah? You won't even be able to get it out of the water before early June. And where are you going to bury it? Who to invite? What music to play at the wake? Take it from someone who's been through a few funerals. It's easiest to just leave them there and let nature take care of it.
It's going to be quite a few years before nature is able to completely take care of a motor carriage. You could always come back in a few months and see if you still want to give it a proper send-off.
I understand, believe me. I really do. I think about all the frivolous side activities I could be doing every time I go out there with my nets. But daydreaming is a rich man's game. At sea, you can't afford to be careless and dream. Anyway, what are we talking about here again? Unfortunately, the factory sold this one with a 3-year warranty instead of story. It's to intimidate folks, mostly. Not really. I know some basic moves, and I know it sure as hell beats a knife when you're in a tough spot. Guns are expensive and fragile, I think. Besides, I got kids. Can't have guns around them, and sometimes a sharp blade is enough to keep folks at bay. From time to time, people need a lesson in respect. That's just the way it is. No, I'm afraid not. Tempting to confiscate the blade I used to keep these animals in check. You would put me in an early grave. Some went to patch their wounds, their lesson learned. Others, guess I enjoyed the way he bled.
If it is, then why the melancholy?
Come.
The harbour seawall endures the wash of the freezing waves. Many things wash up against it and onto the beaches of Rivershot.
To the waves. The sea took him. It was a long time ago. He didn't respect the sea. Went out there drunk like a skunk, and sure enough, one day the boat was found floating empty. Now, before you tell me how sorry you are...
She really likes those muscles, though. It's in the way she pronounces sinewy.
Us working life didn't...
She looks like she's ready to go on a date.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with? By love, you did.
Fast, observantly, like an electronic printer.
Pleased to meet you, Lieutenant W. Freighter Dubois. I am glad to see a man of high qualification. The situation is precarious. What can I help you with, Lieutenant Freighter? More lessons in basic reality? My favorite part of the day. Go ahead, ask me anything.
What is all of this? The scent, the sound, the air.
What world? The only one, I suppose. The world of matter. And its pale antipode.
The camera of her mind glides over the surface of the water.
Great bodies of water. Forest-covered surfaces. Clusters of light where the cities lie. You've seen the montage. We all have. This world is enough.
A frisson lifts the hair on the back of your arm. Wind sweeps the surface of the bay.
The world is a suzerainty of Revachol.
There is a term of endearment they coined for it in the DeLorean century, when humanity was high on this world, discovering more and more of it, these archipelagos included. Elysium. It does. There are those who would call it hell. A term of hatred that originates, like many such things, with the Mesk petro-fascists. Oh, you want a picture of the world? There is no complete set yet, dear. They're having some trouble reaching orbit. Great things are difficult to achieve. For now, we're viewing the world from the inside, sideways. We used to think it was a sphere, but that is beginning to look less and less likely by the day. You wouldn't know it from the tabloids, but the ORG nations have been launching weather balloons into the lower ionosphere since the 30s.
ORG, Occident Revachol Grad.
There's a steadily increasing trickle of images. Between the big three scientific contributors, they're piecing together a dark grey corona. Yes. Pale covers 72% of the surface. There are grey flares and prominences, even arcs above entire Aceles. The images are blurry, but if there was a sphere in there, it certainly looks like it fractured a long time ago.
A cold fear seeps into you.
They say there is a rarefied envelope of matter surrounding the darkened disk of our planet. That is, if we are still living on a planet. Or, to speak more plainly, imagine vast swathes of land disrupted by nothingness. I am sorry, dear. It must sound quite terrifying through the acute encephalopathy. Even scientific positivism isn't entirely convinced about what we're dealing with here. But this is one of the greatest questions of our time. Maybe when they get the complete set together, it will jolt us out of our rut, bring us together, however naive it may sound. You have misimagined it. I don't have the power to convey to you the effect and geometry of the images that depict our world from below low orbit. It's like the crowning of the world. It's insane. Very disco. You'd love it. See? Everyone finds something worth holding on to in this world, however wasted its opportunities.
The cold seeps into you. The air is heavy with 80% humidity. Suddenly, you're conscious of yourself standing there, on whatever this all is. Your arms hang down by your sides.
These are unimportant times, Detective. You and I were born after the dust had settled. 1,000th of a second too late. For the big time. The revolution. It's quite easy. Every 100 years or so, our species gets together to decide what's next, who gets shot in the head, and who gets the mineral rights. It's a real kerfuffle. The Liberals got the mineral rights. And by mineral rights, I mean everything. Liberals are usually middle-class people, Detective. Or the remaining gentry. The beneficiaries of the pre-revolutionary arrangement. Some were rich enough to stay with the Constitution, with monarchy. Big mistake. Others bet on the revolution. They were called the Ultras, or Ultra-Liberals. They fared well. They didn't win so much as survive. We were the last ones standing when the war ended. Everyone else got shot in the head, remember?
We. She's one of them. Of course.
To foreign intervention. The Coalition. Those people really took the mineral rights. The Coalition of Nations. Grad, Mesk, Vesper, Messina, Oranje, and Sur-la-Clay. The arms center of the world. They landed here and ended the revolution. It was the moralist thing to do.
There is bitterness in her voice, tempered with understanding. She is critical, but ultimately understands the cause.
The moralists believe in keeping everything exactly the way it is. They believe in mineral rights, and not shooting people in the head. At least not in the same manner and volume as the others do. They are the long-standing provisional rulers of Revachol now, the coalition government.
The rulers of Revachol, and also the world. These guys are strong.
This is their zone of control. They embolden the RCM with crumbs of the same law they took. Technically speaking, you are a moralist. an almost endearingly moralist standpoint. It must be hard to take a moderate approach to head shooting in your line of work. The turn of the century revolution? Don't answer it. It's a trick question. The revolution began in '02 on the Acele of Grad, though by the end nearly the whole world had gotten involved. It wasn't a who, but a what. A pandemic of Zarat, a particularly virulent prion disease, which the authorities in Grad proved unable to contain. Then Marzolf came along and overthrew the government. It made people overthrow their governments. Of course not. It was a highly infectious microorganism that destroyed brain tissue. The actual causes of the revolution were material. The pandemic only provided the spark. From Revachol and Grad? Not far. The world managed to cauterize itself. Marzolf's government was overthrown in '08, and the coalition crushed the Revachol commune 2 years later. It was why. You and I, officer. Our lives in the zone of control.
Something tells you her life and yours are not that similar.
No doubt. But we share the same time and position on the planet's crust. That counts for more than you think. Modernity. They developed the marvels of the inter-Acelary communication. Telematic milieus, radiation, colored plastics. Meanwhile, in Revachol West, the aftermath continues for the 5th decade.
51 minus 8 equals 43.
Time flies. The 20s saw a decade of urban war, west of the river leveled, offshore platforms in flames. Still, it's regarded as an improvement on what came before. '08 to '19 was simply hell. The 30s? Things settled down in the 30s. Revachol East transformed itself into the world's largest tax haven, with the international community's blessing. For the first time in a long time, it seemed like things were going somewhere. No, it was a market mirage fueled by cocaine and quantitative easing. The 40s dispelled it like a cold splash, an Acele-wide hangover, you might say. And here we are. Welcome to reality, baby.
From the looks of it, the Fifties haven't been much better for the zone of control. You can see it in her eyes. Days slipping away.
I've no right to be dissatisfied. This shirt is Barbara Muscova, this raincoat is impervious to rain and is guaranteed for 100 years. My daughters will wear it. We could have had so much more. Every one of us. If only we played it right. Why, of course. We're talking Duke out Central. Full swing intra-species warfare. No, I would say the apes were neutral. On the other hand...
No, the tiny apes are doing all they can to be better. It's not their fault.
Good question. What would you have done differently?
No, her first.
And you would have died, most likely. Not far from here. Maybe even right here, during the beachhead, defending the coast the day the Coalition took the city.
The cold runs down your spine. She gestures toward the waters. The wind stops. There is silence on the dark water of the Martinez Inlet. A dog barks. A gunshot echoes off the walls of some distant building.
No, almost certainly. The Commune would have forced you. Such was the fate of the undecided. They are what they are. Who knows? An afterbloom may yet come. Anyway, enough sentimentality. Is there anything else you want to know?
Now's your chance. Ask her who she is. She won't get out this time. She won't maneuver her way out of this one.
I am the vilest of the vile. A traitor. A devourer of nations and infants. I am an ultra.
She raises the corner of her mouth, smirking, revealing a canine.
Haven't you heard? I am a nether creature of the Forbidden Swamp. One of those who pushed the king under a shit wagon and betrayed the revolution. We surrendered the nation to financial colonists. No saint person identifies as an ultra anymore. Not in broad daylight. Tell me, now that I've uncoiled myself, are you repulsed?
In her green eyes you see a mixture of truth and self-satire. Decades of guilt and pride. Forgive her, but only because you like pearlescent teeth and those light green eyes.
I do hope so. I hope we are able to remain collegial despite my monstrousness. The Ultras didn't have anything against the king, or the commune, you see. It was just business. When the dust settled, the Liberals were the only ones left to clean up the mess. By virtue of their survival, they were handed enormous power to shape the future. This was all our last generation managed. With due respect to our overlords, the eternal caretaker government that keeps Martinaise a monument to the efficacy of its artillery.
While a gentle wind sweeps the streets in the rebuilt east, light drizzle washing it clean, lights go up and motor carriages circulate the tracks.
I would not have relinquished sovereignty to the Coalition. Not here in Martinaise, and not in the Stella Maris or Delta Beachheads either. If not for my own sake.
She realizes her small, cold fists are clenched. She loosens them.
Then for my daughters. We had an obligation to defend our sovereignty. We should have burned the whole Acele down rather than let them have it.
Dark orange flames reflect in her green eyes. An oil fire on the ocean.
Perhaps. My intellectual vanity will be my undoing.
You're no dummy yourself. And the crown on your head as you lay in the casket.
Yes. Whatever else I am, I'm also a mother and a wife. Now, shall we return to reality? Glad to have been of assistance, the little that I know.
Hello, mister.
She clutches a small stuffed animal. Occasionally, she twirls it around.
Yes, I am. Little Lily. You know my mom? That's nice. My mom is great. She's never angry or anything. Yes. They don't want to play with me. They're older and play outside. They look the same. Sometimes I can't tell them apart. They look identical. It's a grouse.
You might be able to get on Garth's good side if you replace the broken skua you almost certainly broke.
Sure. I mean, you already took it. I don't like it anyway. It looks angry. It's Lammy! He's my friend. Sort of.
Lambie is a stuffed lamb that, admittedly, has seen better days. One of the eye buttons is missing, and the fur is tattered in several parts.
Lammy usually doesn't like strangers, but you're also fuzzy, like Lammy. Luby. Raluby. My mom tells me I'm a big girl, but she doesn't know that I can't say Earl. Or like, sometimes I can, but then Uller. Bye!
A shaggy-looking girl in her late teens or early 20s kneels on the ice with an electronic contraption in her hand. Hearing you approach, she looks up.
Oh, hello there.
It's cold out here, but she's not wearing a hat. She must be freezing. Everyone knows drugs make you invulnerable to cold. You bet this one likes to party.
Huh?
Maybe she didn't hear you. A little loud.
So should you. Oh, I didn't notice that. Yeah, well... Look, man, fuck the hat.
Lots of feeling. Feel it up. Way up. You're saying it really loud, but it's not coming out right. Maybe add more indignation. More. More.
I didn't mean to. I'm sorry.
The girl looks down, slowly curling into a ball. That's it. You've earned it. Start crying. Life's hard. The young woman has kept her eyes trained on her wires, waiting for the sorry spectacle to end. But it's gone awful quiet up there. Then the sound of sobbing. Looking up, she sees a grown man on the wrong side of 40, his face bloated from alcohol and God knows what else. Not so quietly, crying.
This isn't really about the hat, is it? I swear to God, I will always wear a hat from now on. You know, you're not the only one with issues. I self-medicate. Shit. Life's a horror, you know? Crying helps, though. Get it out your system, and then maybe we can talk, okay? I'll be here.
A pane of eternite has been planted into the snow. 2 poles are holding it up, barely holding it up. It could fall over any minute. A stronger gust of wind might be enough. Looks like a makeshift bridge currently drawn up. The pane falls into the icy snow with a soft thunk. The tent is just tarpaulin fabric covering a pile of stuff. The flap is open. Inside, 3 young men are listening to some new form of music. It's like nothing you've ever heard. One of them looks at you.
Come on, get in and close the flap behind you. The warm stuff's getting out.
A young man with peroxide blonde hair holds up a Harman Walshy tape player, nodding along to the music. He looks at you with a knowing smile and says, as though you're supposed to be sharing some tremendous evangelical secret,
Hardcore! Hardcore! Hardcore to the mega! Here comes the night!
could there have been a right way out of this garden of forking paths, you think?
go speak to Andre. I'm just a Noid. I suck at socialising, man. If you go speak to Andre, I'll have time to tune in, get a reading on your sign.
Maybe you should just stand there, watch him rattle his toolbox, get to know his sign. The contents of the young man's toolbox are organized in a neat yet eclectic manner. He is constantly checking out the various tools and parts and rearranging them slightly. It's a bit hypnotizing if you look at it long enough.
I have all kinds of screws. They'll come in handy for fixing the church exterior. Talk to Andre. No point in standing here. The signs are really out of tune.
Noid, shake. You see a youngish man bleaching the tips of his hair with a toothbrush. He puts the toothbrush down and extends his hand in greeting.
Hello, I'm Andre. It's a pleasure to meet you.
His grip is strong, sweaty and warm. He's trying to project and inspire confidence.
This is my posse, Noid.
The young man with earrings looks at you suspiciously.
And Egghead. Egg! Together with Acele Burger, who's out there right now, doing some seriously progressive sonic experimentation, we like to think of ourselves as music venue organisers. We have many in the pipeline, officer. You see, we've been all over Jamrock North, prospecting for real estate to establish a new venue in.
Also for talent.
Yeah, thank you, Egghead. And while there is no shortage of raw, unfettered talent spinning tapes in Jamrock, we've had rotten luck with the real estate part.
Place is a shithole.
I apologise for my friend Noid's potty mouth. I realise this is not how you speak to a police officer. He has authority issues. Which brings me to the problem of occupied ecclesiastical property. I bet you've noticed the derelict hive of narcomania on the coast.
An attempt to pander to your perceived conservative sensibilities. No person his age would ever use a word like narcomania with a straight face.
I'm talking about the church, and I'm not exaggerating. Even a place of spiritual refuge can become a magnet for all sorts of dopeheads and burnouts if left unattended.
Dopeheads! Burnouts! Well, I'm sad to say, that's exactly what happened. Sad because we were just about to put Martinez on the map with one of the maddest dance clubs in Jamrock. Nah, strike that. In Revachol.
Strike that! The world! And sadder yet, because the dopeheads and burnouts holed up in there were the worst kind.
He leans back a little, watching you with a steady, serious gaze, letting you imagine just how bad those dopeheads and burnouts really are. Good. This calls for an opinion. You're an expert in those.
They're spooky. I was hoping you would be the judge of that, officer. All I can say is, their spookiness is the kind that keeps us from restoring this church into a community centre and a place of spiritual refuge.
Also, they don't eat or clean the building. Shit's gonna collapse.
People just want to spin tapes without them spooking it up. Place has bad signs. No one can dance like that.
Thank you, Egghead. So you're gonna look into it, right? It should be a police matter. Getting them out. Whatever spooky stuff they're doing, I'm sure it's not what the Ecclesiastes meant their property for. All right, man.
Andre's obviously very happy you took him seriously. The whole tent is. The boys exchanged giddy looks.
I asked Noid to install a measure against more drifters wandering in. A padlock is a temporary fix, just something to contain the situation.
I had to do it in an hurry. Not my best work, but it should hold for a while.
Not long, like a week maybe? I'm super sure they're alive, I mean, come on. I'm at least 90%, maybe 85% sure they're still alive. Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry too. I guess it wasn't very hardcore of us to just lock them in like that.
Of course. Noid, give the officer the key.
All right.
You sense the trajectory of the little piece of metal and plastic. The object makes a small ringing sound as it approaches. Just the tiniest chime to your left. Ka-ching! The key hits your palm. The speed freak's nod to you approvingly. The speed freak nods to you. A respectful nod. You proved something here.
Sure, man. Tell us what you want to know. Let's do it. Truth is, I don't really know. None of us do. I don't even know how many there are. All we've seen are glimpses. Yes, there's also the machinery.
This machinery is of the deeply mystical variety.
When I first scouted the place, back in February, it was abandoned, empty. Took some time getting the crew together. So about 2 weeks ago, we came here hoping to set the stuff up. Suddenly, there are all these strange machines lying around in there.
One of them has wires running into bowls of water. Wires into water. Never seen anything like it.
Andre, tell him about the feeling.
Oh, and it felt like there was something in there with us, watching us from the dark.
No, the other one.
Which other one? I'm not as in tune with my emotions as you are, Egg.
Felt like silence. Awful silence.
For this man, even regular silence is awful enough. But that was something greater.
Not exactly. We've just seen someone who we think is a woman go in and out of the church. A couple of times. And we felt someone or something eyeing us inside. But that's kinda it. Sure, why not? Yeah.
But not really. Brown hair. Old. Heavy, dark signs.
What Noid said.
So brown and older, Ruby might have dyed her hair, though it seems like a stretch at this point.
You should talk to Noid about that. I just got a distinct burnout and dopehead sign from them. Probably jacked up to some snuff station too. Probably, very likely.
With a small surge of PEA, alertness fills you, as if to say, this is a dark corner. Look behind it.
It means like one of those rich boy private radio stations, where you can listen to people getting killed on, then jerk off to it. Sick shit.
Not that we would know anything about that. Noid just likes to relay stuff.
He appears sincere enough, sire. You could, of course, be wrong.
We're getting derailed here. In short, you can tell to Noid about the machines. He'll tell you more. Like you aren't alone, you know?
It wasn't quite human, if you know what I mean.
Not human, as in a ghost? Do you know what he means?
It was this dark shape climbing upside down along the ceiling, like some kind of crab man. Yeah, you know, the way it was climbing up and around the ceiling, like a crab.
It was stalking a cell, exhibiting ambush behaviour.
Crab man! Yeah, totally. I mean, I didn't personally see it. Acele was alone that time, but I believe her. If she comes out running and says there's a crab in there, there's a crab in there.
You should ask her about it, but be nice. Don't tell her you don't believe in the crab.
There probably is no crab man. Don't let them draw you in with this nonsense.
Well, honestly, I can't, but I am.
This is a below-feeble attempt at avoidance. Basically, he is attempting to weaponize idiocy.
I'm 70% sure they're substance users. Don't let the technology fool you. Sure. What? He's a quiet man, mostly communicates through music, and by being a master of ceremonies. You know, a host, a declaimer of slogans. He's a performer, gets the people going.
Interesting, sire. A bit like you, then. An MC for short.
Well, he's just kind of here. I don't really know how to communicate with him. Yeah, sometimes, when I stumble and find my way into his centre, you have to hear a lot of hardcore to the mega first, though.
The man smiles mysteriously, choosing to let the beat speak for itself. I get it. He's a puzzle.
Oh yeah, that's a Meteor name for the founding party. Thought it'd be cool to use it.
If you don't know what the founding party is, there might be a way to mask it with minor demagoguery.
Come to think of it, I've never really looked them up, you know. I can't give you a precise definition, but they're a very powerful religious organisation. And they have roots in ancient mass society. And they're the custodians of the Pericanassian Church. Plus, they anoint the innocents. They, made the innocentic system, no? You're totally wrong about that.
The Pericanassian Church is about love. And Nordic music is about love. I got love for my Pericanassian posse. Love is the relay out of death. We dance. Love is hardcore.
Unity. Unity.
Make some noise for my Insulindian posse.
You feel it. The anodes and the cathodes coursing through you. Your big toe starts tapping along to the base, as if testing the waters.
Oh yeah, it can.
He's coming around. You're getting it.
Feels good.
Yeah!
He seems ecstatic that you share his vision of Peric.
Do it for the masses. Do it for the crew. I didn't want to say it, but it was pretty lame of you to imply otherwise. Anyway, you got more questions?
The one with the large head is still looking at you, nodding his head, waiting for your body to start moving. You feel like you could go for a little disco when, or if, they get this club going. You've got it in you.
Yes. What? Yeah. Good to have, bitch to carry. When I first scouted the place, I did some reconnaissance. I'm not sure the church even has running water. Oh. It's the one they sell at the fuel station.
It's like he's lying to you, my liege. But he's slippery enough that there's nothing for you to grab hold of.
The what now? Oh, the old Ultra.
He's like an actor, looking to the souffleur for his line.
I have a major sinus infection, stuffy nose. We all do. Shit's all blasted up. Winter, can't even breathe. Yes, that's all Nosafed's doing. Without the Noser, I'd be drowning in shit right now.
Nosafed is the shit.
Sure. Here you go, officer. The Noser. Blast away. It does, doesn't it?
Told you we have a smell problem.
Ether? I don't smell ether. Do you, Noid?
No.
He sniffs the air, then shrugs. It doesn't take a forensic scientist to guess it's drug-related. They look and act like the kind of guys who've done their fair share. However, their breathing is regular, their jaws stay put and their pupils aren't dilated. So he nods enthusiastically, no doubt a little relieved. Okay, so the speed freaks want to start a club for dance music. That much checks out. Youths like music. You feel as though you might have liked music more when you were young, too. But you digress. The gist of it is, they want to turn the church into a club, but a suspicious element has overtaken the building. It's very important to understand what the gist of things is. Always consult the gist before making up your mind. This is going well. Plus, and it has to be considered, you can't invent the future of dance music in this smelly old tent. Imagine if you had the church. That settles it. Analysis complete. Their story checks out. It still feels as if this didn't quite go as it should have, but...
As always, we'll be right here, waiting patiently for the news. Yeah!
Anti-Object Task Force. Behold, the Anti-Object Task Force has assembled. God's avenging angel, arrayed against the lower emanations of the Darkened One. Shoe racks, tape recorders, motor carriages, and doors. So many doors. You're not just pounding it all to pieces. You're Wow, so someone's been a little boring. Yes, my standard liege. Someone's seen all sorts of wild ideas pop off and thought, I'll take the boring one. The regular, please. The brown. Of course you do. And maybe some black shoes or a pristine white shirt to go with that. It's official. My lord's copper type is regular cop. I'll let everyone know. I'll send out telefax. Yes, the type of cop you are, sire. Think of it as a caste, a class even, a nation of regular law officials that you belong to. It comes, of course, with the usual benefits. Good, good, of course. To outright declare yourself something does seem a bit too interesting now, doesn't it? I won't trouble you any further.
So you had a talk with Andre, and now you want to discuss things with Noid? That's fine, man. But I've got to warn ya, our signs are still off. It'll take some time for me to get my sigh on. I'm doing what I can,
It's not easy for him. It probably took him years to get used to Andre.
The hardcore aesthetic is esoteric. It's not meant to be discussed with the law at this moment.
It's not easy to reach a harmonic resonance of signs without some adjustment.
Weird stuff. Specialised. There was a data processor and some sort of long-wave machinery. Wires going into water. Gives off a spy sign. Or some fucked up Samaran science sign. You know, the kind that goes head first into the supernatural. Nothing's wrong with it. You should definitely be researched. You can still do sick shit with it though.
The sickest. That's perhaps why it should be researched.
Most of it doesn't exist, but there's also stuff that isn't allowed to exist, because the moralists think it's too dangerous for the plebs. Psionic powers, pale-related diseases, pretenders pretending to be human, folk rights, that kind of stuff.
The young man with the tape recorder.
This is hardcore. It's hardcore! Skibbity, skibberdanger. I am the rearranger. Back to the heavy hardcore! Hardcore!
Yeah!
This young man adds a capital G before the H in his yegs and args. This produces a guttural, Gutwaldian accent and makes him sound more animal, more in it.
The Y to the E to the A 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 to the G to the H to the exclamation mark. Yeah!
He missed one A.
I'm the hard rhymer, the track attacker, the mic enforcer, the sixth checker. I am the law. We're close. True, hard, full, core, hardcore.
Yeah!
This young man adds
the white. Yeah!
He missed one A.
It's nice to be important, but it's important to be nice. We're close. True, hard, full, core. Hardcore. Hardcore to the mega. Internally coherent.
All core. All right. Yeah!
He furrows his brow as his very large head traces the sublime, invisible movement of the music. It
Hardcore! Ah! Is it though? But is it? I mean, really?
feels like you should reply with the very pinnacle of idiocy here, so that things get totally transcendent. But you haven't gotten there yet, so you don't know what to say.
Under the radar, over the top. We're close. True, hard, hardcore to the internally coherent.
All core, all right.
He furrows his
hardcore. Is it though? One mind, one spirit. There's no other world. We're close. True, hardcore, internally coherent.
All core.
He furrows his
Is it though? But is it?
Feels like you should reply with the very pinnacle of idiocy here, so that things get totally transcendent.
I am the mic enforcer. I am the chick's checker. Yeah!
So, like, seriously, what's eating you, man?
There is a hint of pity in her eyes. Her hair is dyed blonde, with dark roots showing, and she wears thick black eyeliner. Most men wouldn't call her pretty. There is a manliness to her, a coarseness.
Oh, that. You're not going to believe me. There's no point in me telling you.
She's less prone to blurt it out, crab man, than the others.
Okay. I went in and I saw a woman next to one of those machines there. Noid calls it a mainframe. She was dressed like someone who's been raised by their grandmother, you know, strange old clothes. Had this absent expression, didn't say anything, just stood still. And then, you know, right behind her, a man crawled down the wall. Upside down like a crab, down the church wall. I think the woman didn't even know he was there. He was completely silent. He stopped right before he got to the floor, then just hung there like that, looking at me. Right at me. I fucking turned around and walked out. End of story. It was too dark. I couldn't tell exactly.
Come on, she obviously could. She already went into detail.
He looked like a banger, okay? He was all muscular and stuff. Had a mesh tank top. I know it sounds ridiculous, but that only made it scarier in a way. Yes, a banger. As in a mess gang member. I know what it sounds like, but that's what I saw. Why? Okay then. They certainly do around me. Okay, bye.
Winter, slow to let go of Revachol. The snow falls lazily, making the beach sand. It has been a colder year. Looking up at the sky, melted, the sky is full of great battleships. White clouds collide with you. You're warm in your hat and your coat. Like a well-equipped explorer, you comfortably survey the white landscape. Near, snow falls into dark water. She prays, though she doesn't believe. There is a hum in the air, that's all. More winding coastlines lined with abandoned buildings. Crumbling piers, salt water lapping at their dark piles. Grey and red forgotten city blocks. What remains of the pre-revolutionary effort to gentrify the coast. The waters turn black. Coal City in the shadow of San Martin. A boom town. Back when coal extracted from countless shafts near the city was needed to power Revachol. No more. The coal was supplanted by petroleum from the ocean floor and hydropower from the Esperance. Everything crumbled. These days, only the weakest remain in Coal City. Their hopes of getting rich linger in the defunct shafts under their feet. Below the old mines, L'Acele Municipal, Revachol's underground cemetery. Le Petit Rat braved the underground passageways, trying to get to children under 14. They go underground, looking for artifacts to sell to foreign museums. After rubies, melchiorite, lapis lazuli, plundered from Safle and Seol. 2 kilometers underground, in a winding shaft, the mausoleum contains untold quantities of gold. Did someone say untold quantities of cocaine? How can it be pure if it's magenta? Snow falls, and there is no answer. Few patira return from the shafts. All around her, white snow on the extinguished coke furnaces and on the weather-worn shacks where fathers beat their sons up, layer upon layer of sand poisoned with industrial runoff, the storm drainage, hidden bunkers. Rats. Someone stuffed a big old polar anorak into a concrete pipe under the boardwalk. It would keep you warm. You would probably never happen across it, but who knows? The canal you crossed to get here and beyond it. Martinez, someone is scraping snow off their windshield. At the roundabout, like all monuments, it's also a warning. 6-story, a fenced-off yard. There's a truck belonging to a logistics company parked next to the gate. Bright light, clean white light, coming from the windows of the abandoned church, one of 2 remaining stave churches, which were collectively called Les Sept Sœurs. The other 6 sisters were destroyed. A serpentine strip of land weaving its way into the Martinez Inlet. Unfortunates on the run, the remains of a camp on a jagged piece of rock, a tent, old dishes and cutlery, long since abandoned. Further out, the lights burn bright on. Then there's Ozon, but the snow falls too thick. The Bay of Revachol, vastness, great depth. And at the farthest reaches of the Bay of the raised motorway, 881, separating Martinez from Jamrock. Vehicles whoosh past one another day and night. Was once a park, a place for reflection and recuperation for the patient. The pox is completely wild now. Evergreen thickets covered in snow and industrial dust. Feral dogs, heavy drug users do slip through and hole up in the old military hospital, hoping to a line of motor garages with armored carapaces hunched in the cold. A mechanic is hard at work, patching around you. The snow continues to fall. To the west, the ocean swells. The stairs descend to central Jamrock. A man named Cooklove has a snow-covered stall there. In the market, snow falls on the utility district. All of this built around a lake that formed in a meteorite strike. At the center of this lake, a chill comes over you. The spring thaw will come in earnest, just not yet. A scattering of bullet holes is spread across the cracked wall, reaching from one corner to the other. The density and spread of these bullet holes is surprising. This takes a lot of bullets. Fully automatic, a row of ghostly shades stand facing the wall. There are many of them, a dozen at least, their heads lowered and eyes blindfolded. It's quiet, no sound. No movement. 10 meters away, other shades are lined up in an orderly manner. Automatic rifles primed. A gust of wind blows by. The coats of the firing squad flap slowly in the breeze. A single person stands on the side. A long time has passed since the moment of this fusillading. Rain and brine have since washed all the blood away. Not a trace remains. The abundance of bullet holes leads to two options. Either an inordinate amount of executions were performed here, or they did not use a conscience round, where only one soldier has the loaded rifle. Looks like this was a mass execution with everyone fully armed. A host of men, probably in everyday clothes, ragged from the conflict and covered in dust. They were not sitting, a common practice for executions in some nations. As demonstrated by the height level of the bullet holes, they stand, facing the wall. It's impossible to discern any details about their personality or background. Ordinary people, familiar, each and every one of them. Collateral damage on the path toward normalcy and progress. So maybe you should change it. They were praying, screaming. The commandant, the one who gives the order. Machine gun fire crackling through the air. The lights of the 7 men in combat uniforms and dark coats, holding automatic rifles aimed at the people. I'm just a representation of your mental faculties, piecing together any available information. You should probably ask the lieutenant. A cold sea wind blows away the figures. Behind this building, the other one, once filled with engineers and designers of Feld Electric, now collapsed and dead, but for some rats.
Put your hands where I can see them. Show me your hands. This is the pace. Show me your hands. Right now!
Scavenged, battery-powered police lights protrude from her back. The flickering light show reveals a gun in her shaking hand. Her hand is trembling from some sort of neurodegenerative disease.
The man appears to be pulling out an object from his pocket.
Fear the threat! Fear the threat! Superseding event. Split-second decision. Get on the ground! Get on the goddamn ground! Subject yourself to a full body cavity search. Prohibited materials concealed in nostrils, ears, mouth, navel, urethra, foreskin, vagina, and rectum.
In her mind, the cavity search is happening. As long as she's saying it. It appears the things she says are very real to her.
Back up! Back up! Back up! Status unconfirmed!
No. Oh, no. No. I thought Mr. Moran... Gareth!
Aggravated assault! Man down! Officers in pursuit! Law enforcement compromised! Impersonating a police officer!
Does she not believe you're actually a police officer?
License and registration! License and registration! Come in, dispatch! Sector! Sector! Azimuth!
It's not a code, just disjointed words. She's frantic, confused, teetering under all that gear. There's an opening if you just move fast enough.
Suicide by cop! Split-second decision! Eat lead, scumbag!
Oh my god. Oh, I see. Okay, the gun was empty. All is good. You're fine.
What is this? This isn't police issue. Police weapons have bullets. This isn't real. Police don't always have bullets. What is this? Why did you sell me this?
She looks devastated. Grab the gun, right now. This might be your only chance.
No one ever cares anymore. Why would they treat me like this?
Great gears are grinding to a halt. The machine is powering down. She's all out of jolt. Okay, you need to figure out what to do with her now.
Nobody's ever around. Nobody ever comes to visit.
Her scratched skin is warm to the touch, but the person inside, the catatonic woman, especially now that she's unarmed, doesn't seem to be a threat to anyone but herself.
Please leave the radio on. Mr. Moran is on Channel 8.
Reflex to what? Being left alone? She stands motionless, just a heap of clothes and flashes now. Maybe if you search her once more? The bed is still cold from the broken window, and not too inviting. But it's yours. You've earned it. It's not easy, but your bones are so tired from what feel like weeks of work on the case. You have to try. After what feels like hours, you feel you might be sleeping.
Thoughts, baby. A million little lights in the...
Recorded in you. Forever. On ferrotape.
No. You're spinning tapes at the discotheque. On and on it goes. For untold hours.
Behold, there are millions of them down there. The first time. The last time. The smoke in her mouth. The plotted flowers. The faces turning. Jane!
It's the world, Harry boy. And you can never forget this shit.
Beautiful.
You're the son of the world again.
Reading your awful letters and recalling things, aren't you? The endless names of the world. An address book you are.
You'll go insane if you keep going like this. One more day, and you'll be in the loony bin.
For the money, baby. For the greater good.
Solving your little crossword puzzles. Doing your tasks. Crossing names off lists. Trying to become some sort of world detector. It won't make it okay. It won't put smoke back in her mouth. There he goes again.
He's got no idea what he's in for.
Beep, beep, beep. The alarm is ringing, Harry.
You can do it. It's nothing. Do it for the city. Go. Do it for the wind. Do it for the picture puzzle. Put it all together. Solve the world. Good. You're up. Listen, there's something that's been bothering you for a few days now. It's a suspicion, or a feeling really, that things are not quite in hand around here. An earth-shattering deduction from your psyche. What will those guys come up with next? Every day, things seem to spin more and more wildly, out of control. The center isn't holding. And despite your efforts to moderate and contain these energies, things only seem to be getting worse. Oh, sure. You've been making progress on your case, interviewing people, solving side tasks, but who's focusing on the big questions? You've got to find out who bears la responsabilité. Whoa, whoa, whoa. This isn't some kind of dictatorship. You can't simply sit like a committee. Only the most even-keeled minds in Martinique. Your half-brother, the lieutenant, is a natural place to start. Together, you'll be able to discover who has la responsabilité in Revachol. And, if necessary, you'll have the wisdom and expertise to assign it among yourselves. Most likely, your findings will be collected in a report, which will be carefully reviewed by your superiors. Once they've reviewed it, those same superiors will produce a set of Rest assured, no matter what happens, it will be done through the proper channels. Good luck. Your report is eagerly anticipated.